Okay, picture this. You're just walking down the street. The sun's shining, traffic's humming along, everything is totally normal. And then, without any warning whatsoever, every single oxygen molecule on Earth just vanishes. Poof, gone. Welcome to today's Explainer, where we're going to dig into a scenario that sounds entirely like a sci-fi movie, but is actually grounded in some seriously terrifying science.
What if every single oxygen molecule vanished for just 30 seconds? Now you might be thinking, hey, 30 seconds? Please, I can hold my breath longer than that, no big deal. But listen, we're not just talking about holding your breath here. We're talking about an immediate, horrifying, cascading global disaster. 30 seconds isn't just a long time, it's a literal eternity when the fundamental building block of our entire planet goes AWOL. And there would be zero warning. No countdown, no emergency alerts. Just gone. In this incredibly tiny window of time, we'd be witnessing one of the absolute worst disasters in human history. It wouldn't be a slow, gradual fade-out either. It would be a violent, immediate shock to the entire planetary system. So let's break down exactly how this would go down.
All right, let's kick things off chronologically. The first second, the immediate shock.
To really grasp why this gets so catastrophic so fast, you have to think about our atmosphere. Earth's atmosphere is made up of about 21% oxygen. So it's not just a gas we breathe, right? It's a massive physical component of the air around us. The second it vanishes, the air pressure doesn't just dip a little bit. It violently drops by over a fifth, instantly.
And what does that kind of sudden pressure drop actually feel like? Well, the world essentially pops. Your ears would ring violently. Think about that feeling of a massive altitude drop on a plane, but instant and everywhere. Windows across the globe would just shatter from the crazy pressure difference. But honestly, the worst part, you'd get a severe instant sunburn. Why? Because oxygen actually forms the ozone layer, which is our invisible shield against UV radiation. The second it's gone, anyone outside in direct sunlight is instantly and severely burned. The sky itself literally becomes dangerous.
Moving the timeline forward just a little bit, 1 to 5 seconds, mechanical collapse.
So humanity basically runs on combustion, right? And combustion absolutely requires oxygen. Cars, motorcycles, city buses, massive cargo ships, backup generators, they all shut down immediately. Just imagine millions of cars on highways suddenly losing power at the exact same time, basically turning into heavy rolling metal bricks. Traffic chaos is everywhere. But here's the truly terrifying part. Airplane jet engines need oxygen for combustion too, so thousands of planes flying right now would instantly lose thrust, dropping into uncontrollable descents, and the pilots would have absolutely zero chance to fix it.
Now here's a totally counterintuitive detail you probably never even thought about. Concrete. We all think of it as rock solid, yeah? But it actually relies on oxygen molecules to bind together and keep its structural strength. Without oxygen, concrete instantly starts to weaken and lose its integrity. Buildings, massive bridges, skyscrapers, huge stadiums, the literal physical foundations of our modern world would just begin to crack and crumble right before our eyes.
The contrast of this exact moment would be totally mind-bending. Picture it. Down on the ground, dust is billowing everywhere from all this crumbling infrastructure. Sirens are screaming because everything is failing. Total panic in the streets. But above it all, a completely unnaturally silent sky. The roar of jet engines? Gone. Traffic noise? Gone. Birds? Gone. It'd be this deafening, crumbling chaos down below, totally contrasted with this eerie, dead silence up above.
And remember, we're still only a few seconds into this nightmare. Let's look at 5 to 15 seconds, a dark, dying planet.
It's not just us up here on land having a bad time. The oceans rely heavily on dissolved oxygen, so in these few seconds, marine ecosystems begin to instantly collapse. Fish would panic violently as they literally suffocate in the water. Coral reefs start dying off. And since oxygen is a key part of water molecules, some scientists actually believe the core chemistry of the water itself could destabilize. The ocean just becomes this massive, silent graveyard in seconds.
Plus, if you were to look up, you wouldn't see that familiar bright blue sky anymore. See, oxygen particles are what scatters sunlight across our atmosphere. Take them away, and the sky turns into this dark, silent, alien-like blackness right in the middle of the day. You're still standing on Earth, but suddenly the sky looks like deep space. No normal sunlight. Just oppressive, heavy darkness.
I actually want you to just think about this for a second. Put yourself right in the middle of this scenario. What's the scariest part for you? Is it the sudden, unnatural silence from all the engines dying? Is it the terrifying darkness completely swallowing the midday sky? Or is it the suffocating feeling that's about to hit you? Because as alien as this landscape is getting, the biological horror? Yeah, that's just getting started.
Which brings us right to the 10 to 15 second mark. Your body shuts down.
Let's track exactly what's happening to you, personally. You wouldn't drop dead in that very first second, because your lungs and your blood hold on to a tiny little oxygen reserve. But by step 1, your brain detects the starvation. Your chest tightens up, your breathing gets frantic, you try to inhale, but it's basically like trying to breathe underwater when there's no water. By step 2, your vision blurs, your muscles totally weaken. Step 3, your thoughts just become incredibly confused, and by step 4, we're looking at widespread collapse. Pro athletes, delivery drivers, surgeons mid-operation, everyone, everywhere, just dropping to the ground as their brain's fuel totally runs out. Civilization just freezes in place.
Amidst all this biological and structural chaos going on, there is this strangely eerie little detail to think about. A world without fire. Every single fire on Earth would go out in an instant. The tiny flame on a candle, massive factory furnaces, even raging, out-of-control wildfires. Just vanished. Poof. It's an impossible, completely alien state for our planet to be in. And ironically, that sudden lack of fire makes the whole disaster feel even more deeply unsettling.
And because we have no fire and no combustion, the dominoes just keep falling. Power plants fail. Backup generators, which, you guessed it, rely on combustion, are completely useless. The internet crashes hard as server farms lose power. Air traffic control goes totally blind while planes are actively falling out of the sky. Emergency services are overloaded instantly, but it doesn't matter because they literally can't drive anywhere. It is total communication chaos globally. Nobody in this dark, suffocating world would have any clue what caused this disaster.
So let's just recap this horrifying escalation we've witnessed. At 1 second, a violent pressure drop and severe sunburns. At 5 seconds, infrastructure starts crumbling and engines die. By 15 seconds, brains shut down and the sky turns black. Just look at this terrifying timeline. All of this chaos, and we haven't even hit half a minute yet. But what exactly happens when the clock finally strikes 30 seconds?
30 seconds. The violent return.
Now, you'd probably think that oxygen coming back means instant relief, right? Yeah, actually, wrong. The sudden rush of oxygen returning would trigger massive, explosive reactions all over the globe. Engines that were flooded with fuel, they might explosively restart. Violent pressure shifts would violently rock the planet all over again. Chemical reactions would reignite in a flash. And those planes that were falling out of the sky, the oxygen coming back doesn't just magically land them safely. A lot of them would still crash. Hospitals, which are already powerless and structurally damaged, would be instantly, overwhelmingly flooded with mass casualties.
Physically speaking, the damage to cities and ecosystems would be absolutely incalculable. But psychologically, oh man, humanity would be scarred forever. We would never, ever forget the moment that Earth literally stopped being Earth for half a minute. The sheer, deep trauma of the planet suddenly becoming completely alien and hostile would haunt every single survivor for the rest of their lives.
So let's get to the core of what this terrifying thought experiment really teaches us. The final takeaway. The invisible foundation of life.
Invisible. Silent, always there. We take every single breath completely for granted. It feels entirely automatic to us, right? But every city we have ever built, every machine we operate, and every human being on this earth relies 100% on something we can't even see. Remove it for just a fraction of a minute, and our mighty, advanced modern civilization basically collapses into absolute nothingness.
I really want to leave you with this final, provocative thought. The scariest things aren't monsters. They're the invisible things keeping us alive every single second. This whole explainer really hits home just how incredibly fragile our existence on this rock truly is. It definitely makes you look at the empty air around you completely differently now, doesn't it? Thank you so much for joining me to explore this wildly mind-blowing scenario. Keep questioning things, keep exploring the crazy world around you, and I will see you in the next explainer.